word for it. I don't want to say reminiscing. There's a much better word for it. When you're looking back, and I was just thinking about this last night, growing up in Tuscaloosa. Actually, I grew up mostly in Gadsden, Alabama, up until I was 14, and that was pretty amazing too. Where we lived, or at least mostly from what I can remember where we lived, was pretty amazing area. I may have to go up there one day again and shoot some footage of the amazing mountain that runs through Gadsden, Alabama, where I grew up. I grew up on this mountain, and it was just freaking unbelievable. But today I'm going to Tuscaloosa and look back on my teen years. I spent most of my teens and early adulthood in Tuscaloosa, and shortly after I got out of the Army, I moved to Birmingham because there's more opportunity. Pay was better, there's more opportunity, and so that was early, mid-90s. Mid-90s I moved to the Birmingham area and been up there ever since, up until 2015 when I decided I've got to go see the rest of America and hopefully a little bit of the world. I hope a little bit more of the world is going to come up. I still feel like I've got to see more of America. I still have a little bit of a hankering for Alaska, although I've gotten over most of that at this point, just because it's, I don't know, there's a few mountains in Alaska, and you can get to a few of them, but it just seems like Alaska is so much of the same thing that it makes me wonder. I mean, it's a huge freaking state, and I'm sure that there's a lot more stuff than I'm letting on right now. But at one time I had a real fascination with Alaska, like last frontier kind of fascination. And that's still true. There's so much empty space up there. But, I'm okay with 50 miles of empty space. I don't need hundreds of thousands of square miles of empty space. I don't need, being able to ride for 3 days and not see anybody. I'm okay with riding for a few hours and not seeing anybody. Hell, nowadays I'm okay with riding for a few minutes and not seeing anybody. That's really awesome. And the older I get, the closer I want to be to civilization. For convenience and health reasons. And I don't want to say I want to move closer to the city. That's the last thing I want to do. But small towns like the one I'm living in now are, I don't mind being 20 miles outside of a small town, or 30 miles. I mean, that seems like that's a pretty good resolution to my disgust with society in general, and my overall need for, the conveniences of civilization. You have to balance that out. But today I'm going to Tuscaloosa and going to relive some of the experience I had growing up as a teenager, and specifically, maybe one of the most interesting things to everyone else. Maybe. All right, dude. Why is it this intersection always seems to get the people that are playing with their phone, or I don't know. So anyway, I've got a few places I wanted to visit. I was just thinking about last night where I grew up riding a motorcycle. I mean, I rode scooters when I was really young, 7, 8, 9. They were other people's scooters. Well, scooters, little 50, 90s, 50s and 90s. Those are the big motorcycles of my early childhood. But it didn't really. It's kind of like riding a fast bicycle, really. But holy crap, I did get hooked on those in those early days. So Those were significant, but I don't think I really got hooked until I first got my first motorcycle. And then I realized, wow, this is amazing. I can go anywhere I want to on this thing at any time I want to. And, you know, there was a handful of downsides. There was only a handful of downsides. Okay, it kind of sucks when it's cold or wet. Kind of sucks if you hit something because you don't have seat belts, you don't have all the metal wrapping around you, a cage, as some of the angrier bikers tend to call them. Look at all those cages. I don't think I've used that term very much because I'm not angry towards cars in general. I have I have some 4-wheel plus vehicles, so, and you know, that's most of the vehicles I've owned in my life. Is, well, I don't know, it's probably about even. But I have no animosity towards the vehicles themselves. The animosity that I might have towards that idea is the people, the incompetence of the drivers of those vehicles. But you know, there's just as much or more incompetence on motorcycles as there is cars. The big difference is cars can kill you a whole lot quicker than motorcycles. If you're riding a motorcycle, you can be killed quite easily and quite quickly. So, anyway, one of the places that I was thinking of riding to, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get access to it because of terrorism. Things changed a good deal a couple of decades back after the attack on the Twin Towers. You know, things changed dramatically. Legislation, freedoms. But one of the things that changed specifically that may be affecting me today, because I haven't been back to this since I was probably 16 or 17. But it's a water treatment plant. And apparently somebody saw something on a terrorist list that there was a plan to target water treatment plants. So now you can't really access water treatment plants, or at least like you used to be able to. I'm hoping that the fence is open and I can drive around this thing and show you where I wrecked. I kind of used this, back in the day, I used this as a racetrack, small racetrack. And for what I remember, it was not square, it was like a parallelogram. It did not just have 90-degree turns in it. I believe one of them was an extreme angle. So in other words, it was not a decreasing radius turn, it was a reverse rate. Yeah, they're going to be locked up. I want to ride back there anyway. Yeah. I wonder if, no, I was going to say, they're not going to let me across here because I can't trigger this light. Anyway, I'm going to see how close I can get to that gate back there. Just to, I really wanted to race around this track again and show you how stupid I was back in the day. So I'm like 16, 17. And I think I'd been around this racetrack a few times, so I knew what I was doing, but I don't think I wasn't a very good rider back then. I'd probably been riding seriously only a couple of years. So, but the track that I'm talking about is this big circular thing, and apparently back in the day, nobody cared if you came out here, and I did. No trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. Indeed. So this is the corner that I crashed in, and it's a really funny story, so I want to tell it. Okay, it's not as squared off as I remember. So, and I don't remember that tower being there. I think this is way back before. This is way back before cell towers. Back before cell phones. Well, actually, I think cell phones came along not too long after that. Late 70s, maybe? Early 80s? Anyway, so, you know, I would come out here and ride. There was all this great riding out here. And I would come out here and ride, and this was my track. And I would come out here and take this corner. Well, apparently this day, I blew the corner. And I hit that curb right over there and wound up next to that fence. I would say it was a pretty bad wreck because I was going pretty fast. I was probably doing 45, 50 into that corner, and I probably misjudged my speed. But anyway, I hit that curb, and what happened was the handlebars went like this, and I remember it even further because the handlebar seemed like the handlebar was pointed towards me. And I went over the handlebars, but not just that. The handlebar went boop right there and beep. And I woke up. I went over the handlebars, into the grass, hit the fence. So I was going pretty good. I mean, I knew I had to have been going over 40. But as I hit the ground, I rolled into the ditch and hit the fence, got up, and thought for sure I was a eunuch. I thought I just lost my pecker. And I'll never forget that wreck. And that's what made me think about riding over here back in the day. And I'm surprised I haven't thought about that incident in a while, but I thought it would be pretty funny to share with y'all the thought that my first serious motorcycle crash may have caused me to become a eunuch. And I think all this over here, everything's changed so much, and probably not that long ago. I think all this over here used to be Bryce Hospital, a mental hospital that no longer exists. A huge state mental hospital, which is a story in itself. There's very little left of Bryce Hospital. I think they're trying to restore parts of it. But I'm also trying to get an idea of where everything was, because this was an amazing hill that I used to hang out on, and all this is new. All this stuff over here is new, and I'm not really familiar with everything because all my landmarks are moved. In fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was all Bryce Hospital back here, so could be wrong. Or maybe I'm behind Partlow. Yeah, all my landmarks are gone, so I can't accurately tell you what was all this. Oh, I got to go over to yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm going to take it over to the other mental hospital that they built shortly before I stopped riding over here. But man, I had so much fun over here at the time because they just put this mental hospital in. And we didn't really know what it was. We knew it was some kind of a secure facility, but we didn't know exactly what it was. But then we started realizing that they had security out here. And all this was just field. It was just empty field and great place to ride. You know, had a few dirt roads and some trails that went back through here. But right on the other side of this was Taylor Hardin's secure medical facility. So another state institution, but unlike Bryce Hospital, this place had crazy people, but they were crazy and violent. So this was a state institution. Wow, this is really built up. So yeah, all these hills around here, these fields, this is what I rode. And we used to ride down in here. I believe it's still going to be over here. There's not a lot of these trees that were over here even. But we would ride down the hill into next to the facility, and we would, well, yeah, a lot of stuff has changed. Alright, yeah, I was thinking that this might still be Taylor Hardin, but it looks like maybe it's, that's it right there. Yeah, that's the place that shall not be named. You can see the double fencing and the barbed wire and all that stuff. But we would ride down in here. We'll see if I can get up in there. That's some pretty cool stuff. And one of the big thrills is we'd ride down in here, and you know, of course, the security would react and go, "Hey, what are those kids doing over here?" It's me and my little brother. He used to ride motorcycles too, back before he grew up. Well, he had a couple bad crashes and he stopped riding, but so we're gonna see if we can get up in here and get security to chase us like we used to. That was the big thrill. Is, you know, it was hey, let's see how close we can get to the facility. Let's get the security guys to panic and see if they can see if we can get them to come after us. Restricted area, no trespassing, mental health. Yeah, it's not. And I'm assuming that's not security guards out there. But I'm not here to pester anybody. That's not my goal. But it sure would be cool to go, I mean, I think we used to sit up there on that hill and kind of ride around. And the first time we got a reaction, we had the policeman come out. I don't know what policeman, security, whatever. I'm sure they were state employees, and I'm sure they had guns, but anyway, I'm glad I got close enough to the to the track where that was my main goal, is come out here and reminisce about my first awful crash. And it was only awful. I mean, I walked it off. I think it was probably a couple of days or more. But a couple of days later, I guess I got. I'm trying to remember. It seemed like I had a bruise. It seems like I had a bruised pecker. But I don't remember. All I remember is the pain in that insane fear that I was going to be a eunuch forever. And, you know, I wasn't worried about fathering children, but I like sex. Well, I don't think I had sex by then. So I was really looking forward to sex. And at that point, I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll never be able to enjoy that. I'm going to have to go here because this thing's not going to trigger my light. Anyway, so the other thing I want to check out is I actually stopped in here the other day, and this was pretty cool. This is an old graveyard that was out behind the hospital. I can't remember. This may have been the Partlow graveyard. I don't remember. Nope, this is Bryce Hospital Cemetery. It's got a marker back there. And they have closed this thing off, fenced it off. I guess people were coming out here and vandalizing or stuff like that. But the cool thing was, potential is that you could come out here. I mean, it's beautiful. It's very well kept. The cool thing would be to come out here and camp. But you can't do that. At least you can't get your bike inside. So, but yeah, we used to ride in the woods all around here, and it was very cool. We were little hoodlums back then. Definitely. And, you know, everything turned out okay. I guess you could be a little hoodlum and not go to prison. There's another cemetery right around the corner here, right across the bridge. I'm going to roll up in there because I can roll up in there. That's been there It's been nice and well kept up there for a while too. And I actually may come out here and spend the night, hang my hammock up in a tree. Except it's right next to a really busy highway here, so I don't know. That may not be a very comfortable thing to do. Let me see if I can get over here without getting killed. And I did it. Lucky me. So yeah, this is a pretty cool little graveyard. I'll do the big picture. Cemetery. This is from 1800s. I think the other one goes way back too, but you know, if you think about it, hospital patients die too, and if they're wards of the state. It was right there that my battery died on the camera, and I was getting long-winded anyway, so maybe next time you see more stories of me riding around on my motorcycle with funny stories. See you next time.